We're going to be getting reaction to now the war in Israel from so many of our Fox stations from around the country, including there in Houston, also down there in Florida, as well as New York. But in the meantime, let's head now to Los Angeles. Live Now look there in Los Angeles, and that's where we find Fox 11's Phil Shuman. He's standing by with more reaction now that Israel is at war the first time in 50 years. Phil, what are prominent Los Angeles Jewish residents telling you there tonight?
Well, there's a mixture of pain, of heartache, of outrage. We're actually in Beverly Hills, Andrew, a community that is about 70% Jewish, and behind me a massive rally that began about a half an hour ago. People waving Israeli flags, people driving by on Santa Monica Boulevard, honking their horns and shouting their support for Israel. Of course, there are others who are somewhat critical of the United States. Their voices are being sort of drowned out today, but this is what we found from talking to people here in the Los Angeles area. The window of BB's Bakery reflects a busy Pico Boulevard and displays both the American and Israeli flags. Inside, owner Dan Messinger is working as usual, but his mind is some 7,500 miles away in Israel.
We hear from our friends and family that they're scared. We hear that they've all lost someone or connected to someone who's been lost. I mean, there's no one in the country who is not 1 or 2 steps away from someone who has been killed or injured or missing.
After New York City, the largest Jewish American population in the country is in the greater LA area with more than 500,000. So it's understood that when there's a crisis in Israel, there's a huge outpouring of support here. But there are other views. Noah Katler-Kupitz is with the If Not Now, When movement, which believes Israel is practicing apartheid and wants to end U.S. support.
We are calling for the U.S. to stop sending additional military aid to Israel as Israeli leaders are advocating for genocide and ethnic cleansing. We know that it's reckless for our government to be sending additional military aid that is supporting more violence on Palestinians and on Israelis.
Meantime, back outside BB's Bakery, Menachem Cunin and his family. The Cunins have a long tradition of service.
Obviously, we are praying for them, and it is scary.
Menachem's grandfather, a well-known Chabad rabbi, Shlomo Cunin, here in the corner of the screen this morning, saying prayers via Zoom with an American-born soldier now in Israel, deployed to the fighting today, a friend of Menachem's.
We have to strengthen each other, unify each other, and make every person could do that little bit of light to get rid of all the darkness in the world.
That include the Palestinians?
This is, everyone should be trying to do what's good for peace in the world.
So back live here in Beverly Hills, a series of speakers, Andrew, denouncing Hamas, praising Israel, and the United States response so far. Heavy police presence here, as you might imagine, along with private armed security guards. This is one of a number of demonstrations in the past 3 days here in Southern California. Overwhelming support for Israel. But as you heard in that story, there are those who are critical of both the Israeli government and the United States' role in supporting it here. Andrew?
Yeah, Phil, it does seem like, Israel is a small country, 8 or 9 million people, and this is being described as their kind of 9/11 type event here. And from your story, it seems like a lot of these Los Angeles Jewish people, they know people in Israel. They've been impacted so personally. They know people who have been called up, to fight in the IDF in the wake of all of this. Those connections are so small.
That's right. Yeah, it's very personal. You heard from Dan Messinger. There are about as many people in the entire country of Israel as there are just in Los Angeles County, between 9 and 10 million. So here, it's very poignant. We see so many people with signs with pictures of loved ones or relatives or friends that say kidnapped, murdered, held hostage. And there's also a sense from the people that I talked to here, and one of the signs we saw said, "End Hamas." That even though there's obviously a long history of conflict, that this is going to be a turning point in this particular part of the ongoing battle.
Yeah, and that's the sense we've been getting speaking to so many of our experts today, that this is really just the beginning, Phil, and no one really knows if there is an end in sight. Phil Shuman, as always, thanks so much.
All right, Andrew.